Hey YouTube, Select Start Player 1, Al here.
Player 2, Jason.
I was going to say, I hope you got a name. Not just Player 2. Otherwise you'd be like a noob on a first-person shooter.
Exactly.
Anywho, so as you will see in the video, we're going to show some footage. We went out today and did some game hunting. Went out and hit a couple of the retail shops that we like a lot. Went to a retail shop that we've never been to before. That was great, actually. Really pleasantly surprised with the selection at that store. Pricing's kind of all over the place, but you see that in a lot of retro stores.
It wasn't too far, though.
No. There was nothing that I would have said was extremely out of line. But the pricing, like I said, was definitely kind of all over the place. There was some stuff that was really good bargains. There was some stuff that was priced very fairly. And then there was a few things that were...
FFV or just a smidge over,
yeah.
I think,
yeah. Alright, so we're going to go out and do a little game hunting today. Oh, it's trying to send us on the toll road, dude.
What?
What?
No, I'm not paying. I don't even have any cash. Who carries cash?
So, turn here.
Turn where?
Turn here.
Left?
Yes.
Pull up a different route?
Yeah, well, if it's going to take us the toll road route, we might as well just take Cleveland. Because we just go up to Cleveland and start heading that way and then make it reroute us. It'll automatically reroute once we...
Continue straight. Continue straight.
We've been joking about whose Siri is less lethargic, and it's weird because sometimes his will start announcing first and sometimes mine will start announcing first. And actually it's not Siri, it's the voiceover on Google Maps. So anyways, there's Player 2. Hey, you know, he does exist. The myth, the legend, in reality. Anyways, so...
Found a new place?
We found a place that's new to us. I don't know that I'd call it a new place. I guess they've been in business probably for a little while, but we hadn't heard about it, and it's like 2 towns over from us where we live in southern Indiana. This place is over in Elkhart. So, hey, there's Notre Dame again. Golden Dome is much clearer to see today, so hopefully that wasn't too blurry or too shaky. Maybe we'll have a little bit of that footage in there. Yeah, so we're gonna head over and to this place over in Elkhart and see what they're all about. Maybe do some pickups there. So we're gonna get over. We're gonna go over to this place in Elkhart, and as long as we're not completely dead broke when we get done there, we're gonna stop by the same place where I picked up the Genesis 3.
And then one more place in between.
And there's another place in between that we're going to stop off and check out. So we're going to hit at least 3 game stores today. If there's time, we might even hit a couple Goodwills. Who knows? Roll the dice, see what happens. We're gonna, he's going to drive. I'm going to camera and talk, and we'll see what happens.
Gonna find some Game Boy games.
We're out in this lovely northern Indiana weather again. So, hopefully we find some old school NES, some Game Boy. Who knows? Maybe I'll find a copy of Terranigma. That'd be kind of cool. So see what happens.
I'm excited that he said we could film.
So we just got done at the game shop, and we talked to the manager while we were there because he was the dude behind the counter. It's kind of cool. And he seemed pretty hip to the thought of us filming there at some point. So probably a future pickup video. We'll actually kind of do a tour of that shop. We're really excited. Excited?
Oh, very. So much stuff. Every time you asked him for something, he pulled it out from the counter.
Yeah, it was crazy. And something that I've been looking for, because as you've seen in some of my videos previously, I have a very Atari heavy collection in that I have a lot of Atari stuff. And so one of the items I've been searching for a really long time in Atari is going to be later on in this video when we show what we actually picked up. So we're pretty excited. We got some pretty good stuff.
Good prices.
Really reasonable prices. Some stuff you're kind of shocked when you see it because you're like, this goes for a lot more than that. because they just don't exist. And then there's other stuff where it's like really common stuff that the titles are pretty cheap on. And then some stuff is pretty much market value. So it's really possible to get some great deals in this shop, as well as just in our area, the game shops are pretty depleted. There's not a lot of places that are doing retro or doing it well. Or if they're trying to do retro, you walk in and a store that used to have like a 4-foot section of NES has like one shelf. So this place was pretty well packed.
Imports, a lot of Japanese imports, which that's my sweet tooth.
Yeah, and I can't think of any of the other stores in this area that actually carry import. There's just nobody's doing import, and so for us to run across import is
they won't even buy
really
them.
rare. Yeah. In fact, so funny story. One of the shops that I go to got in a Neo Geo CD top loader, and I went in to get it, and I was like, "Did you get any games with it?" And they said, "No, we couldn't take any of the games because it was Japanese." The funny thing is, the top loader that they had was a Japanese model in the Japanese box, but they took the Neo Geo CD. They wouldn't take any of the games, and the only game that they did take was King of Fighters 95, but it was the Japanese version, but you could actually read the words King of Fighters 95 on the top of it, so they took it. Yeah, funny thing. But yeah, so import is almost non-existent in our area. Looks like our turn might be coming up. We're gonna see if we can hit another shop here. So we'll be back in a minute. So we struck out there. We had saw this place as we were driving by to go to the other store and thought we'd come back and hit it, and it turns out that the store's not in there anymore. It's for lease signs and stuff.
What's this? I'm $1.89 a pound.
I'm glad I got that on record. that's staying in the video. So while we didn't get that game store, it looks like there's a little thrift shop, reseller shop of some sort. So we're gonna find a place to park after we get done dancing with this van, and we're gonna go in and check it out, see if we find any game stuff in there. So we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, so we just got done at that thrift shop. I guess that's what we should call it, a thrift shop. The stuff on the shelves is real reminiscent of like Goodwill stuff. But the guy had an Xbox, he had an original Nintendo with a Super Nintendo power cord. He had an Atari 2600 4-switch, wood grain, and a bunch of games. The games were marked $2 a piece, and I kind of asked the guy, if he'd do a little deal if I took a few games, because I saw, half a dozen games or so that I was pretty sure I didn't have. So I started fishing through, and he was like, "No, really, that's all I can do." And so I hemmed and hawed about it for a little bit. My finances are kind of tight, so I just kind of decided I wasn't going to get anything there, and I started putting them back, and then he was like, "Yeah, maybe I can do $1.25." So I feel kind of better about that. And just remember, don't be afraid if you're not comfortable with the price to put the item back, because there's a good possibility that the seller might be willing to work with you, but isn't gonna give that up immediately, right?
Always ask, dude.
Yeah, always ask. Never hurts to ask. Obviously you don't want to ask if you're like, if the person's selling something that they think is $65 and you're gonna offer them $10, they're probably gonna take it as an insult. But if you're being honest and fair with them, never be afraid to ask, because if you do insult them, then they were gonna be insulted anyway. Right?
And that guy too at that first store that we went to, he bought a couple things, and I won't spoil it, but that one NES game,
Yeah.
and you kind of jokingly said, "So you're going to throw this in for me, right?" And he said, "Sure."
Yeah.
$12, but still, freebie.
Yeah, it was only a $2 item, but it was like, I was already spending a pretty pretty decent chunk of change. It was only a couple of items, so it wasn't like I had a whole lot of implied percentage of discount that I could get because I'd bought like 50 items. But I figured I'd say, hey, you could throw that in. It was a $2 game, and he said sure. So we're happy with that. We're now on our way back to another store that we've both been to before, so it's not a new place for us. Although their inventory varies wildly each time I've gone. It's been kind of randomly different. Sometimes they're nice and heavy on things that I'm looking for, and sometimes their
prices are all over the place too.
Yeah,
but they're pretty cool if you ask, they'll look it up. So if you've got a pretty good idea that's going to be a little bit lower, they'll take a look for you. Yeah,
if you see something and you just thinking to yourself, man, that seems expensive, go ahead and ask, because they'll look it up, or they'll tell you what their justification is for why it's so expensive. Like, it's complete and has some special additional item with it, or it was a special edition version and you just didn't notice it. So the guy's pretty straightforward, at least. Actually, I think the last thing I got there, that was the first place I got Game Boy Micro. Got a Game Boy Micro there.
Yeah, that's
at a good price. It was a fair price for the Game Boy Micro, and I got dog bone controllers there at one point too.
I got my dog bone controllers there too.
Yeah, so
now they have a bargain bin that I've been rating the last couple times, and some PSP stuff for like 99 cents. Power Stone collection was like 99 cents last time I was there. So some really good titles. Yeah.
Power Stone collection for 99 cents.
99 cents. Not, boxed or anything, didn't have the case, but
yeah,
Power Stone's so fun.
I have a bunch of loose UMDs, and while any system that came out with nice plastic cases, I would prefer to have the plastic cases for it. If you're talking something like Power Stone collection,
you're not going to pass it up.
Those were awesome games on both the PlayStation and the Dreamcast. You're not going to pass that up for 99 cents. And it's fun us talking like this, because you guys can't see anything outside the car because it's snowy and white and bright out. But we'll turn the camera around here for a few seconds, and you can see as we're going down the road that we're driving into the cold, wet, white stuff.
Wish we had all year flea markets.
Yeah, those guys in California got all those swap meets.
And Del Taco, they took our Del Taco away.
Yeah, we had a Del Taco. It's gone. Somebody bought the land that the Del Taco was sitting on, and apparently they bought it with the intention of building something else, because they basically ran the guy out of the store. We're hoping that they find a new place. I guess they had been looking a little bit, but hadn't had much luck.
Financially, they weren't really making it in this area anyways, which is sad.
Yeah, it's unfortunate where they were at, because they were right next to kind of the heart of our shopping area, so you would think they'd had good foot traffic, but I guess where they were tucked between the two main shopping roads, they were just not getting enough traffic. And it's a shame, because if you want to talk carnitas from a fast food place, Del Taco was it. Couldn't get them anywhere else. And dollar chicken tacos, who does that? Chicken for $1.
Churros.
Oh yeah,
you know
churros.
what I'm talking about.
Churros. Yeah. We're talking about you, Ricky. You know that, right? You could have came to where we are and gotten churros, but
not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay, so we just got done at the second game seller that we were going to go to today, and it was kind of a mixed stop. But right at the end, I decided I want to look through a bin of portable games, and I don't want to give too much away so that you can see what we got in the pickup video. But I was looking through, and I picked out 2 or 3 things as I was going through, and the guy behind the counter was like, "You're gonna take those?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, good, take them all." And he said, "I'll give you a good deal." And I said, "Okay, what kind of a good deal?" And he didn't think I was serious at first, so he called the manager over, and the guy counted through what was there, and I got a pretty good deal. You'll see what I got. Bunch of duplicates, but I did end up buying the entire box, so we'll show that off in the video. We'll show some more of Jason driving. So not sure you're wanting to stop at least one more place, two more places. Okay, so a couple more stops.
And a possible Craigslist grab.
Oh yeah, and while we were at this place,
I think
Jason,
you should say that I peruse Craigslist about every 15 to 20 minutes.
and
it pays off.
To his benefit, there's been multiple times that he's pointed out things on Craigslist that I ended up picking up. And he
Possibly
literally
a really great deal.
seconds after, as a matter of fact, one of the items in our pickups later, when we go through our pickups video later, is an item that he pointed out to me on Craigslist, and I was within like 2 or 3 minutes of the guy posting it that I contacted him. And then he said when he met up with me to actually sell me the item, he told me that he had like 4 or 5 more calls just that evening wanting to know if he still had the item. So Jason is an avid Craigslist game hunter. So yeah, he was perusing Craigslist while we were in the store and found a deal that he's trying to put together, which was already a pretty decent deal, and he's negotiating price with the guy right now. So if he gets it for the price he's working on, we're probably going to make that trip a part of this video as well. So Jason sealed the deal with the guy on Craigslist, so we're going now. He's going to be picking up a whole bunch of stuff that we'll have on this pickup video.
Very, very excited.
Yeah, it's a good deal. Good deal. The only issue is a little bit of a long drive, and what was only supposed to be like 1 to 2 inches of snow today is turning into a kind of a full-on mess. So we're planning on making a drive out to Amish country, but well, we are.
It's cool though, because if we get stranded, I'm sure I've got some food, some tea in the bag.
And I can cut Jason open and crawl inside him for warmth.
They smell worse than the outside. But I'm sure we've got some Game Boys or something here too. Keep us entertained.
Oh yeah. Well, I kind of wish I had a Game Gear, but you guys will find out why later. Spoiler alert! So I think that's probably where we'll start with showing our pickups, and I'll go first. So a while back at one of our other retailers, I was in when they got in some wireless controllers for the Atari 2600, which literally I had only seen these that one other time. At the time when that seller was getting them in, he said that he hadn't had a chance to test them or check them out yet. I left him my information. I never heard back. So either they weren't any good or he just forgot about me. So we were in this new store today and I saw them sitting on the shelf. They were priced extremely fairly, and I said, you know what, I'm going to have to go ahead and do that. I don't really know the history yet because I haven't looked into these wireless controllers yet, but I was pleasantly surprised when I flipped them over to see that they were manufactured in Sunnyvale, California. And if you're interested in what I mean by Sunnyvale, California or anything, go back and check out my video on the Atari 2600 and the Heavy Sixer, because I talk a whole bunch about Atari and what's the significance of Atari products that were made in Sunnyvale, California. But I got both controllers and the remote receiver. I was actually kind of surprised by the remote receiver. It has a pass-through, so rather than it having its own separate power supply, this is kind of advanced for the time if you think about it. This allows for you to plug the power supply that powers the Atari 2600 directly into the back of the receiver, and then it has a pigtail that then plugs into the Atari 2600, so it actually will leach power from the system. Also from that store, I picked up a Nintendo 3DS analog stick, the extra side stick adapter that I know is a requirement. What was the one game you mentioned?
Wasn't it the Monster Hunter?
Okay, so Monster Hunter 3D apparently supports this stick. I know there's a few other games that support this stick as an additional way to do dual stick control in the games.
I know they have one for the XL too.
Oh, okay. So they have an add-on you can get for the 3DS XL, which means I'll probably need to hunt one of those down at some point as well to go on my 3DS XL. And then there was one other thing I picked up while we were there. Well, actually, two other things. I take that back. I also got, and this is kind of going to be backwards, but this will give you a clue to one of the other games I'm going to talk about yet during our pickups. I picked up this. With the stuff that I bought at the store, I just kind of asked if basically he'd throw this in, and the shop owner said, sure, why not?
Really cool.
So that was really cool of him. And then they have a ton of bags and cases at this particular store, and all the bags and cases are priced the same price across the board. So I was hunting through the bag of the box of bags on the floor, looking through all the Game Boy Advance stuff, and Jason said, hey, there's some more around the corner here on the wall. And when I came around the corner, there was this critter. And you don't see bags for the Dreamcast pretty much ever.
And we love bags.
And we
you
love,
and I both love bags.
We love
We've
bags.
got a lot of bags.
If you go back and look at our Game Boy two-part episode, I showcase a lot of the cases for the different systems, for the different Game Boy systems, and I have bags for most of my systems. As far as older stuff, I've even got a bag, a Sega Genesis bag. I got PlayStation bags, GameCube bags. Just bags for a lot of the systems. So it was really a pleasant thing to find this. I've not ever seen a Dreamcast bag in the wild. Not to say that they're extraordinarily rare. I haven't seen them in the wild. You
can't find them.
You can see them occasionally float up on eBay, but you just don't see them. So it's cool to find that. That covers the stuff I picked up there. If you want to.
I got two things. I am a big PS1 fan. I love my fighting games, Mortal Kombat trilogy, Marvel vs. Capcom, all those, and I found the arcade stick for the PS1. So I'm very, very excited about that. And then the other controller, which I haven't seen, I don't think you've seen in years either, not, other than online, is the Dreamcast fishing controller. Yeah. So I've got some fishing games, and you've got some fishing games. And I heard this also works with Soul Calibur.
Interesting tidbit. Let me double check here if I remember correctly. Yep. Interesting tidbit. Those are both made by the same company.
Really?
They're both made by ASCII. Nice little bit of knowledge on the two controllers you picked up.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're actually probably sometime yet tonight, if we don't both get too tired, we're gonna plug that bad boy into my Dreamcast, and I don't know, Sega Bass Fishing or
Soul Calibur
or Rapella or Soul Calibur. Yeah, as a matter of fact, there's Sega Bass Fishing as well. So
perfect.
I'm sure we'll find a fishing game and/or sword fighting game to play with that.
Give it a go.
Yep. So
that's all I got from there. But man, that was a great store. He was a great guy, and said definitely we could come back, give him a heads up. We'll do some filming in there.
Yeah. He said he'd have no problem with us doing some filming in the store. So we look forward to doing some game footage in his store and talking with him again. It was great fun. He's a fellow collector as well as a store owner. He really got into doing the retail side of things to help bolster his collection from the sounds of it. He just really loves the gaming side of it, so running the store helps fuel his collection.
And he hung out with us, the whole time we were there?
Yeah,
like 2 hours?
He bounced away a little bit to deal with some stuff from some of his other customers, help out some of the other folks that work at the store, but he did spend quite a bit of time talking with us. We had some questions about some of the different stuff he had up on the shelves. There's a few things that I'm still interested in at his store, so I'm sure we're going to go back.
I felt bad because it's like every time we thought of something, we're like, hey, do you have this? Do you have the game.com? He's like, yeah, I got a box. And he'd pop off in the back and then pull it out, and he would be, just like he said, he just had stuff everywhere.
And the interesting thing is, us being collectors, we're not necessarily looking for a lot of the common stuff and the stuff that's out on the shelves, but he had a lot of stuff that he doesn't have shelf space for clearly, but it's not stuff that people ask for every day.
Right.
So yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, I know you were looking at a Nintendo arcade stick at one point. So you know,
I was looking at about 20, 30 different things, I think.
The Super Advantage. Yeah, you looked at some import games. He had import, which is something that's just not in our area. Great store. Thoroughly impressed. Definitely going to go back.
So you'll definitely be seeing probably him on the videos. Hopefully we'll get him on to talk maybe a
Yeah.
little bit in his store. So
give a little bit of info about his store in an upcoming video and a little bit of a tour. So
all right, let's get moving.
Let's move on. So after that, we went to another store that we occasionally go to. That's about halfway between here and that store. And I know I've talked to him in the past about filming, so we might be able to do some filming there too. But the owner wasn't actually there at the time, or at least I didn't recognize any of the folks that were behind the counter at the time. In fact, it's new staff. I don't think I recognized any of those folks.
No, I didn't. Just the owner that was there for a little bit, but
yeah, he came over and counted the stuff up. So without too much further ado, I got a whole bunch of Sega Game Gear games. And so how this started out is I was going through the Game Gear game stack, and I pulled probably 3, maybe 4 games off to the side as I was going through the stack. And jumping behind the counter was like, "Are you going to be taking those?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, take them all." And I just kind of quizzically looked at him, and he said, "I'll give you a deal if you take the whole box."
And don't tease us with a deal.
Yeah. Don't tease me. Don't joke like you're gonna make a deal for an entire quantity of what's in front of me, because, you know, as a collector, I'll find a way, even if it's stuff that I don't have, if it's a good enough deal and I might already have duplicates out of it, I'll take and turn those into trades or something later with my friends.
Absolutely.
So I said, "What kind of deal?" And so he ended up having to call the manager over. And he counted them up, and, you know, he gave me an extremely fair deal for Game Gear games.
And there's some pretty good titles too that you don't see.
Yeah, I mean,
Game Gear's not
you know,
big in this area.
in the ones I kind of showed, there's a couple in here that I've not seen in a while before, and so I was pretty happy with that. And then there's, you know, it's upside downside. There's like 6 copies of Sonic 2. So that's the downside. I mean, Sonic 2 was bundled with the Game Gear for quite a period of time, and as a result, it's the most common Game Gear title that you see in the wild. On the other hand, there was like Disney's Tailspin, both of the Batman games, Returns and Forever.
Mortal
Kombat 2, VR Troopers,
Power Rangers.
There's quite a few games in here, and while I have over half of what's in this box, again,
I don't.
I couldn't pass that up. Yeah, I know. Jason had a Game Gear at one point in time. In fact, I have his boxed Game Gear from his childhood sitting on my shelf from our first trade together. And I know that at some point he's going to get back into having Game Gear and Game Gear stuff, and I'll have quite a few things to fill in his collection in a trade that I'm sure is going to go very easy on him.
I've already made a stack, so I'm ready whenever.
Yeah, he's already got most of what he wants out of here figured out. So, and like the 3 main Sonic games are in here, and I already have all 3 of them. So there's Sonic, Sonic 2, and Sonic Triple Trouble, and there's even Sonic and Chaos.
You know, they get a lot of slack, all 3 of those games. A lot of the Game Gear ones, I don't think that there were too many that fans liked, but I had Game Gear instead of Game Boy.
For me, Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 felt just like the Sonic 1 and 2 on the original. The problem for me with the Game Gear Sonic games is the Game Gear 6 AA batteries, 2 hours battery life. How on earth are you expected to play through a game that's probably a 3 to 4 hour game of good solid play?
I agree, but my mom loved me, so she bought me the battery pack, the rechargeable.
Well, and I have the backpack and the large potato pack for mine.
How'd you get that again?
One of the potato packs I got from you.
Oh, that's right.
Actually, I got a boxed potato pack from you.
That's
so
right.
so that was. You know, one of these times we're going to be talking about things like boxed crystal Nintendo 64 and Nintendo 64 wall clocks.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking about how somebody got some things from me. But all joking aside, yeah, I think they were great games. I think that the system was plagued by some issues that made it hard to really feel like you'd completed those games, because you'd have to stop partway through and swap batteries out, or you'd have to have a cord, or and the Sonic games didn't have saves. I mean, even the original Sonic games didn't have saves
or passwords or anything like that.
Yeah, so there was really no way to get to the end of them, really. I remember playing for hours on Echo, for instance, but at least Echo had codes.
Yeah.
You know, so anyway, so that's what I ended up picking up at that store. While I was at that store,
Yes, I was working on another deal. I am a Craigslist junkie. Instead of Facebooking and games and everything on my phone, I am always on Craigslist. You know, I check about 3-4 towns over all the time. You know, I have a couple towns programmed in there, and I found a Game Boy lot. This guy had several listings, but what stuck out was a Game Boy lot. He had a reasonable price, and he had some cool stuff in there, and I showed you the pictures, and you're like, yeah, that's a great deal. And so I shot him an offer, and I ended up getting less, about $15-20 less than he's like, yeah, I'll do that price today. So it was a done deal. We went and got it, and I'll show you a couple of the definite highlights here. This is all Game Boy stuff. I got the Game Boy Color. What is this? We said what? I think berry was this color?
Either berry or possibly watermelon. I have no idea the naming convention really on the Game Boy Color, even though I did the Game Boy video.
There are so many, and they change them with the different systems. I mean,
yeah, and then they had the transparent ones and the not transparent ones, and they had literally 3 or 4 different shades of what I would call red. So this is one of the ones that are in the reds. So
and yeah, I have a couple Game Boy Colors, and the collector in me wants, you know, all the colors I can get. And then now for some of the cool stuff. This box was loaded. I had some extra, you know, power cords, cases. We had some card chargers. I don't have to get into all that. But some of the cool stuff, we've got a boxed Game Boy Advance. This is the limited edition Platinum. And I mean, when I'm talking box, these things are complete with the plastic to go over the systems.
Cardboard inserts. Manuals. The manuals are still sealed in the plastic.
Mail-in offers. I mean, these are just... And the unit itself, you know, barely any scratches. The screen's immaculate.
It's played, but it seems like it was adult owned.
Yeah.
It's not scratched up. There's not a lot of wear. The buttons aren't completely rounded out.
I've got a few Game Boy Advances, nothing boxed, so I was really excited about that. This next one, the Game Boy Advance SP. Not my first SP, but one of the first ones that I have boxed.
And it's in the metallic red.
In the metallic red, yeah, and has the plastic over the unit itself. A little scuffed up on the top, but I mean, inside it's immaculate. This one was definitely played and loved. But
the top deck has what I would call pocket wear. That's one of the things that was kind of notorious with the SPs, because they really were one of the first truly pocket systems.
Keys, you know, change, phone, anything was scratched up against that top.
Yeah. I remember, you know, trying to carry my Game Boys before that in the pocket, and a shirt pocket would work well, but a pants pocket wouldn't work so well. And so most of the time I opted for some sort of a carrying case with those systems. The SP was the first one I really carried in the pocket. Although my first SP that I did carry in my pocket, I got a third-party leather case for it, and I still have the case on my black SP. But it certainly helped save the wear and tear on mine. But I could see, you know, not necessarily from abuse, but just love. You know, that Game Boy was loved.
Well, the design was ingenious too, because you got your control pad and your screen is in perfect condition because it was folded over. I mean,
every once in a while you get a little bit of wear on the outer edges of the screens on those from that being closed, but for the most part, it really well protected the face of the game system.
And this was a first for me that I did not have, and it was funny because they had one at that store, and they had it for what, $15?
Yes, I think it was. They actually had 2 of them, and they were both listed at $15. They had a platinum pocket, and they had I think it was a pink one, or some color. I don't remember.
It's the Game Boy Pocket, and as you can see, again, this one completely boxed, all the manuals. This one even has where the receipt was printed on the back, and then has the mail-in card with the serial numbers that match. And I like stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's
matching
really
serial
cool.
numbers.
So that's original.
And I don't myself have a pocket. I have a Pocket Light, the Japanese edition light up screen, which again, if you want to see that, go back and look at our Game Boy videos.
I've got there were several games in there. There's a couple, 4 or 5 color games. I don't even think you get the end of those. They're little kids games. They were kind of shoved in. But some of the highlights we've got, Super Mario Land.
Awesome game.
Great game.
My favorite end game music of all time.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
You can still hear it. Darkwing Duck. Capcom fan. You're a Capcom fan. These games
absolutely. Disney.
Oh, you know what? This is Sunsoft. My bad.
Disney. Even though that's a Sunsoft title, Disney did an excellent job in the late '80s through to the mid '90s of
side-scrolling platformers.
Side-scrolling platforms. They managed their intellectual property really well during their time, and the Capcom games, some of the Sunsoft games, just really excellent titles.
And you were coming home and watching Disney Afternoon. I mean, I was. So I love the characters.
Yeah, and then you could take those same Disney characters on the go with you in your game system. Those.
Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3. Which I have too, so this one I was really happy to get. And then Donkey Kong Land. Those are some great games. And then now, plus this load still continues to go on.
This was the gift that kept on giving.
Oh, I was so excited because...
Not unlike the Jelly on the Month Club.
Yeah. I don't have to get into price, but let me tell you, cheap. This is the best deal I've got in a long time.
I can honestly tell you that 2-box game systems would have... just taking 2 of the box game systems would have covered
more than what I paid.
Would have covered the distance between what he paid and what this stuff is worth.
And here we go. We got Donkey Kong Country for the Game Boy Color. Again, I don't even have to open it up, but being that it's from that same person, you and I were so surprised. It's got the plastic over the games. It's got all the manuals, everything.
Interesting detail. The person who put these up on Craigslist said he buys games in lots and has no interest in portables and Game Boys. So he just threw this stuff up for really inexpensive. And he was actually flipping several other things, but he had some console stuff, and his prices were kind of higher than the mark on the console stuff that he was selling.
Yeah, we couldn't get together on those, but
yeah.
Men in Black, the series. I've never played it. I don't know if you ever played this one. You were more Game Boy than I was.
I didn't. I never touched Men in Black, and I did a lot with the Game Boy. Again, Game Boy, my first true love in consoles.
And then this is pretty cool. This is Trouballs. I've never played, but it's sealed. This is my first sealed game. I don't know how I feel about sealed games per se. It's kind of cool. It's a puzzle game, so I might look and pick one up I can play and see what I can do with that. And then we've got some boxed Game Boy Advance games. Mr. Driller 2. Go through these real quick. Yoshi's Island, Super Mario Advance 3.
Good title.
Super Mario Advance.
Another great title.
Great title. And then this is Meet the Robinsons. I've never played this one. You know what? I did forget one in the loose ones that you and I were actually surprised to see.
Oh yeah.
I got a bootleg Pokemon game.
I popped that out of the frosted case. You can't really see some of the details. So this game is so absolutely bootleg. A couple details. One, it's Pokemon Crystal, which was a Game Boy Color game.
Which, as you can see here, is on a gray case.
It's in a gray cart. If you look at the top of the gray cart where it should say Game Boy, it just says Game.
I don't know if you can see that. It's also different cover art too. That's not even...
Yeah, that's not even the Crystal cover art.
I don't even think that's... I don't know Pokemon very well, but...
It is a Pokemon, but it's not the right cover art for Crystal.
I'm excited for this too, because, you and I both like quirky things.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Pokemon, but it's kind of cool that it's a bootleg and just... You don't necessarily see some of that stuff in the wild, especially from the older stuff. And a lot of the more purist collectors would get that and make sure that it never made it back into the wild, just because, bootlegs of that old stuff is just wrong.
Yeah, oh yeah, to make a profit or anything like that, unless, somebody knows that, hey, I got a bootleg here, I know you collect bootlegs, I want to trade, but pawn it off as regular.
It's one thing when you've got like a repo of a game that was never released in the US that people have taken the time to translate. it's something completely different to take a game that was commercially released in the U.S. and do a very poor job of knocking it off. Not to say a good knockoff is any better, but to do an absolutely horrible job of knocking it off just to make a profit on something that's commercially available.
Sucks.
Yeah. Terrible.
So yeah, that was my Craigslist deal for the day, and yeah, I'm super excited
And
about
so, to touch on his Craigslist session a little bit more, last week he contacted me out of the blue and said, "Dude, check this out." And
No, wait. This has happened many times, but go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. He constantly helps me out with Craigslist stuff.
Because if I don't have the cash for it, I know it's going to be.
Yeah.
I can still play with it.
I got a Neo Geo arcade system thanks to his watching Craigslist. I got a Famicom and a Super Famicom thanks to his watching Craigslist. So every once in a while he'll hit me up with something with Craigslist, and if I have the ability to, usually it's something he knows I'm already interested in.
Don't forget that big old thing in your corner there.
I already said Neo Geo arcade, but
Oh yeah, that's
but
right.
if you want me to say Neo Geo arcade again.
Well, you know what I was thinking was the
4-slot Neo Geo MVS arcade.
I was thinking the CD. I found that for you too.
But that wasn't Craigslist. That was at one of our game shops that we like to go to. But anyways, so he hits me up and he sends me this picture, and I was pretty shocked because the price was beyond fair.
And I already had one, so just to point that out.
And what I had been looking for a long time on eBay on and off and at our local game shops for a reasonably priced PS1 screen. So he sends me this Craigslist list, and it is a PS1 complete with the screen. But wait, there's more. It also had an immaculately clean original PS1, as you can see it's marked properly for the system, controller. And there is a second in turquoise and properly marked PS1 controller.
Well, real quick, you know how you can tell too on those is the right here where they plug in
Is rounded instead of
smaller
square.
round, yep, and it's the same color as the unit itself.
Yep. But wait, there's more. It also had two PlayStation memory cards. One was an off-brand one, which I've already put away with. I've got the CD jewel cases that hold 4 PlayStation memory cards. I actually have 2 of those CD jewel cases. One of them's completely populated with the right ones for that jewel case, and the other one now has 2 cards in it because it had one before and now has the one that I added from this collection. But we're not done yet. It also had the official Sony PS1 car cord.
That's awesome.
Which I don't think I've ever seen the car cord part in the wild. I've seen car cords for it, but I've not seen the official Sony one in the wild.
I remember coming in that gray.
Also has the proper AV cables if you want to hook it up to the television. And the original power supply. And it is all in a near mint PlayStation travel bag. So, as a thank you to Jason for finding this for me, since I've been wanting that screen for a really long time, I have a PS1 that I didn't have the screen for that I've been keeping in a travel bag very similar to this one. It's got a little bit more wear on it, and I'm going to give him the bag because he has a PlayStation 1 and the screen and everything of his own. He just doesn't have the travel bag. And as we mentioned earlier, we love bags. We love sacks too. You guys are great.
It's one of my favorites.
So that's what I got off of Craigslist, thanks to Jason in the last couple of weeks. After we got done with that reseller and your Craigslist hit, we ended up going to another reseller that we like to go to.
Yeah.
And you picked up some stuff?
Yeah, so we got I picked up one thing. Today was a Game Boy day for me, and I had said even before we left, I said I want to find Game Boy stuff today.
Yeah.
I've been really big into
first
Game Boy.
he said, I'm going to get a whole bunch of NES stuff today. And then he went on to say, and I'm going to be looking for Game Boy too. And it turned into a Game Boy day because he didn't get a single thing for the NES.
No, he didn't. Yeah, I got so excited with all this Game Boy stuff. This is one of my favorite games, one of my favorite franchises, which I'm sure I will want to talk about later on because I love this guy.
Yeah.
And that's Kirby's Dream Land.
I think we can definitely talk about that franchise a little bit and some of the titles that are in it.
Me being, chubby and a chubby child, I related with Kirby.
Yeah. He does suck like a vacuum, too.
Family show.
Just kidding.
Family show.
It'll probably get left on the editing floor, but
good. That's all I found there. But again, you had another good deal we came across, and I'm just as excited as you are come Monday. Why don't you go ahead and talk about that?
Yeah, so I'll actually show the console in a future pickups video because it's not here yet. But I managed to get a good deal due to some unfortunate damage that happened to one of my shipments that I had of some stuff that I had purchased in the past. I ended up getting a credit with a seller, and then he ended up getting an Atari 5200 available, and it's one of the things that I've been looking for in my collection. Actually, by adding a 5200, aside from one variant of the 2600, I have all of the conventional Atari consoles. When we're talking 2600, 7800, I'll now have the 5200 and the Jaguar.
That's awesome.
And the Atari Lynx.
Yes.
So I have the vast majority of what Atari has put out after that 5200 comes in. Got a good deal for controllers. Like I said, we'll show it off in a future video. But in anticipation of that, we walked into one of the other resellers that we go to, and they had some Atari 5200 carts sitting up and dusty. And I asked the gentleman how much, and he told me, and I kind of thought about it, and I was like, but what would you give me possibly a deal if I was looking to take them all? I might come back in like a week and get them. And he said, well, I'm sure we can do something to work with you. And then he started kind of thinking about it and ran some numbers and shot a number at me. And we went ahead and picked these up. And so I ended up getting Pac-Man for the 5200. Centipede for the 5200. Real Sports Baseball. Missile Command.
I didn't think you got Missile Command.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Kicks. Pole Position. Defender. Super Breakout.
I can't wait to play that.
And Real Sports Football. So I'm really excited about those pickups. Pac-Man's the only one that I know of that's going to be a duplicate for me because the system's coming with Pac-Man with it. But I was still really pleasantly surprised by that.
Yeah,
what we didn't talk about is that thrift shop that we stopped by.
Oh,
so
yeah.
We made a stop at a thrift shop.
This was after we were at that spot, that store that we'd never been. We'd never really been in that area and was kind of stumbling around and happened to find this thrift shop and went in. So
this is before we were at the shop where he struck the Craigslist deal while I was buying Game Gear games. This happened before that. We stopped by a little thrift shop. When we walked in, not really much in the way of game stuff. We saw maybe a half a dozen PS2 and Xbox games up in one chunk of the shelf.
Madden.
And yeah. Madden, NASCAR, Madden.
NFL Fever.
Madden. We started talking to the gentleman who ran the place, and he had an Xbox. And then he said, and over on the shelf, I have an original Nintendo and an Atari and some Atari games. And so we went over, we started looking at the shelf. The was matched with the wrong power supply.
Super Nintendo.
Had a Super Nintendo power supply. It was also a little bit overpriced.
I don't even think there was a price. It had a couple, like for the games and stuff.
But we asked him about it. He told us what the price was, and then I mentioned to him even with the mismatched power supply, and he said, yeah. And so,
it's useless.
But anyway, so I was looking, and he had a bin full of Atari games, and I have a pretty good idea of what Atari games I have, and I know what's extraordinarily common, so I know that I have pretty much all the extraordinarily common games. And so I'm looking through the bin, I'm flipping through, and I pull out probably 3 or 4 at this point, and I said, if I'm taking a few of them, will you give me a deal? And he was like, no, I really can't. and
Yeah, he said not on those. Like
not on those. And so I kind of thought about it for a little bit, and I started to put the games back. And he said, "Oh, all right, here, I'll do this for you." And it was a fair price that he shot me back the second time. Definitely not bargain basement, because we all know we've probably seen the bucket of Atari games like $2 for $1, or it's pretty common to find Atari games for $1 a piece. But I had a few in there that I definitely knew I didn't have, and at the price he offered me, I was pretty happy with it. So I got MASH. I got Reactor. I got... Now, even though these are relatively common, I'm pretty sure I didn't have this. I got Tell Games number 27, which is also labeled as Target Fun. I got Racquetball, which I've never seen this game in the wild before, and seems to be that it's a little bit rare. I got a Magic game of Moonsweeper. And by Magic, I mean or iMagic. That's the company that put the game out.
I thought there was something special.
They're easily recognizable in the piles by having a silver label and the wedge top, and there's quite a few games that are out by that company. I got Epix's California Games. This was put out pretty late in the life of the Atari 2600. This was actually after the 7800, so it's labeled that it's compatible with both systems, even though it's a 2600 game. And I got Laser Blast. So I felt pretty good about that deal.
I totally forgot about that spot.
Yeah.
A lot of Atari today.
A lot of Atari for me lately. Between the Heavy Sixer, I recently picked up a Heavy 4-switch. As a matter of fact, that technically should be in this pickup video, because I picked that up since the last time I did my pickup video. Would you reach down there for a second? Since we got on the subject of Atari, under your blue jacket there are two Ataris. One's a 4-6, one's a 6 switch. Can you hand me the 4-switch?
Remind me then.
Yeah. So this is an Atari 2600 4-switch, which everybody's seen a 4-switch Woody before. But this one is kind of unique in the fact that if you flip it to the back, there's a heavy plastic decal over the bottom where it's covering over the holes that were originally in the base. This base is just like a 6-switch non-heavy sixer base. And the label is actually... I don't know if that'll be readable or not, but it's manufactured in Sunnyvale, California. So it is a Sunnyvale, like the Heavy Sixers, 4-switch that is sometimes referred to as a Frankenstein system. These are the same model as the ones that were put out as PR units, or the ones that were used as store display units when we started switching over to the 4-switch units. Although I don't believe that this was a PR or a store display or one of the systems that were given away as promotionals or a not for resale Atari system. I believe this is just one from that period when they still had some 6-switch parts around and were starting to switch over to manufacturing the 4-switches, and so it's kind of a Frankenstein unit. Cool unit. I picked it up in a lot with a Heavy Sixer and another system, and one of them got really bad smashed up, and that's how I got the credit for the 5200. Speaking of other pickups, as far as online pickups, I did a little bit of eBay and picked up 3 different NES games. These are all purchased individually. 2 of them, I believe, are from the same seller, but they were picked up at different times. That is Destination Earthstar.
Now, have you played that yet?
I have not yet.
I was just curious what it was.
Yeah. Defender of the Crown.
Have you played that yet?
Refer to answer A for all the rest of these systems.
Right.
I haven't played it yet because I've been waiting for you to come over so we could do a pickup video so that they can get put away in the collection, and I tend to play after they get put into the collection.
That's right.
And a 5-screw, also what they call a flat top because it doesn't have the tabs, of Mach Rider.
Now, you never played Mach Rider? Come on.
I probably have played Mach Rider.
All right. Fair enough.
Not within the last couple decades, mind you. So, also, as I had alluded to earlier, when I showed the game...
You got one more stop, right? One more stop? Or...
No, I think we're done on stops.
No? What was the last stop we went to today? Because I've still got 2 games sitting over here.
The last stop we went to was disc replay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already did disc replay.
Well, I didn't get to go.
Oh. I didn't get anything, so maybe
That's right.
you showed Kirby,
Oh.
I think, when we were trying to talk about disc replay.
I got Kirby where you got the those games.
I realize that's where you got them. I think the one we were talking about, the one... Yeah, we got out of order. Go ahead and talk about the other stuff.
You gonna edit all that up?
We'll see.
Last two Game Boy games of the day for me were Killer Instinct, which I'm sure, like most fighters on the Game Boy, were terrible, but I love fighters. They hold a special place in my heart. No matter how terrible they are, I will play them.
Yeah. Well, I used to be, like I told you, I used to be able to play Mortal Kombat without looking at the screen for the original Game Boy one. I could beat it with Scorpion without looking at the screen, just by sound.
And one that I think you and I have played its big brother a couple times all the way through.
Yeah.
And I think you'll want to borrow this one.
We played the original a couple times all the way through, and then we played
The second one.
the sequel once all the way through.
DuckTales, one of my all-time favorite games for the Nintendo Entertainment System.
And if you've not played this for Game Boy, the game mechanic and general level design, now they're not the exact same placement layout of the levels, but the game mechanic and the general level design is the exact same as the original game. You
Just
have,
as fun.
You know, Amazon and Transylvania and all those levels.
About the same music too, the same tune.
Oh yeah. Actually, the music is actually, to me, a hair better on the Game Boy, but the Game Boy is known for that stereo synth that it had. A little bit more echo effect, a little bit more
And the Game Boy especially.
fluid sounding.
You love your Game Boy.
Yeah, we love the Game Boy.
No, you love your Game Boy.
You don't love the Game Boy?
I love
If
my
you don't love the
Game
Game Boy, that box of stuff you got down there, since you don't love it,
It'll cost you 3 Sonic 2s on Game Gear.
oh, done.
Anyways.
So now that we've finished the pickups, I already did one of my online pickups, but I had alluded earlier to something I had picked up by showing you a game that goes with it. And now we're going to show you that I love the Power Glove because it's so bad. Yeah.
I've never even used the Power Glove, have you?
I think I have once, a long time ago. It had to have been...
I'm so excited about this.
I want to say it was in the early 90s sometime that I actually got my hands on a Power Glove. Or, you know what? It may have been in a store display that I got to play.
Really?
The Power Glove, yeah. This one is actually in relatively good shape considering its age. It is the larger size because it actually fits on my hand. I know that
ask you that.
the smaller size glove does not fit on my hand, and unfortunately the seller who was listing it didn't have any information as to the size, so I just kind of winged it. I got lucky, however, and I really appreciate that the seller stuck with his shipping price. When I picked this, the shipping on it was $1.99, and he had meant for it to be $11.99. So I really appreciate that he kept with his deal.
Yeah, give him extra positive feedback for it.
Yeah. Now, the last seller we went at today, I had been there earlier in the week and picked up a few things. Jason wasn't with me at the time, but I definitely wanted to show him real quick. First was a game that I've never seen in a while, and even though it's a sports title, I couldn't resist picking it up because it has Player 3 and Player 4 controller ports built into the game. So it is Pete Sampras Tennis, and this game has a lot of voice synth in it as well. It has an announcer for the tennis that announces all of the scores and whether the ball goes out, whether it's bad serve, those types of things.
Cool.
So it's actually pretty cool. This is a game that a lot of people like to bag on as being probably the worst game in the series, but I had to pick it up anyways because it's Toe Jam and Earl. So it's Toe Jam and Earl in Panic and Funkatron. And this is that one where they go like from a teleporter and it like beams them to another spot, and no, it's not that.
No, this is it actually it looks beautiful. It's the side-scrolling one.
Okay.
With all the good animations, but the first one, and I'm sure those watching will agree, if you were Sega heads back then, was the top-down display, and it had the split screen, and you had to get to the next higher level. I mean, it was just really unique gameplay, and it was not the same.
And so basically, they took this one and gave it the Earthworm Jim treatment and kind of made it a side scroller.
Yeah, I mean, it looks nice. Take it for what it is. It's kind of cool, but it's for me, it doesn't feel like Earthworm Jim.
So all those classic fighter enthusiasts out there are gonna love this. I got KI black cartridge. The cartridge is a little bit beat up. The label on the back is a little bit peeled, and it's a little bit peeled on the top. But it was a fair price, so I went in and picked it up because I don't have it. Someday I'll probably trade up to a better quality looking copy of it, but playable was important on this, and you can tell what it is still. So, and then the one that I'm really proud of, it's in immaculate condition, and we're huge fans of the Turtles. As you've already seen us playing some Turtles in one of our videos.
You will see us playing more Turtles.
You're going to see us playing more Turtles. You'll probably get tired of hearing us talk about Turtles.
We will quote Turtles. I like Turtles.
I love being a turtle. But it's Turtles Tournament Fighters on Super Nintendo. So I had not had this or played it previously on the Super.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Super Nintendo, I think, well, first off, it came on the Nintendo, the end of the life, and then this the Super Nintendo, and then the Sega Genesis all at the same time. But the cool thing is that, besides the fact
each edition had different players.
Different characters. Casey Jones, Ray Fillet, this had a shark character, I can't remember his name. But you got a different experience.
Yeah, this guy down here in the corner of the label.
Different experience with each game, so they're definitely worth picking up. I think the only one that's really pricey is the NES version. But still, I mean...
Right, yeah, because it was pretty rare. It was so late in the end of the system that nobody really bought it. By then, a lot of people moved on to the Super, or the Genesis had been, was pretty well into its life at that point.
Super had so many great fighters anyways, that's just add to the pile.
Yeah. So the last batch of things I want to talk about, where I work, they annually do a fundraiser for Relay for Life. They have like a little indoor garage sale, and I was picking through some of the stuff they had, and I picked up, as we said, we love game bags, so I picked up this Game Boy Pocket case, and then I picked up this little mini backpack Nintendo. Thought it was pretty cool. And one thing that some folks are going to argue, probably a lot of people won't consider this to be game hardware, but for me, if you wanted to do speakers on your Game Boy and you were going to be sitting at a table, these Sony wedges, they lock together in the middle and separate. I have one other pair of these. Back when I had my Game Boy stuff originally, I had a set back then, and I really enjoyed using them then. So when I see these come across for a price I can't, that's just a buck or two, I will always pick these up, because as far as I'm concerned, they fit right in with my Game Boy and Game Gear stuff. And then last but not least in the pickups, because I think we're just about down to the end of things, at that same garage sale there were some Game Boy stuff, and so I'm going to run through that real quick. I got Gremlins Stripe vs. Gizmo on Game Boy Advance.
Have you played that yet?
Refer to answer A.
We should play that tonight.
Yeah,
I'm curious about that.
We should.
I love Gremlins. My favorite Christmas movie.
And then we got Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers on Game Boy Advance. And we got Lego Bionicle Mataran Adventures.
That's a lot of words. A lot of big words.
A lot of big words on a tiny black cartridge with no real artwork. And
those cases.
The last thing, these cases, by the way, I think are really kind of cool. They're by Mad Cats, and they're shaped like a Game Boy Advance.
Never seen them. Those are awesome.
I'd not, I can't say whether I've seen them or not, but I definitely didn't have any in my collection, and
I know you've got two.
I've got 3 of them actually.
Oh, I thought
I got an orange, a red, and a green.
I thought maybe no one would see my way. Go ahead.
This red one kind of looks pink. Maybe I'll give that one to you.
Perfect. I'll take it.
And then Donkey Kong Land. And it's the Player's Choice Edition.
Oh, I got one of those too. Let's pick it up.
Was yours the Player's Choice Edition? You got the little gold. Yours is not the Player's Choice Edition.
Oh, it is not.
So
It's the original.
now I have 2 copies. All right, so that kind of does it for our pickups. Glad we could share them with you. If you like the type of stuff we're doing, certainly like us down below.
Real quick, we you actually made some purchases to. We haven't really talked about enhance the channel a little bit, so we're going to be doing some game capture.
Right. Yeah, I have a game capture, so this video will probably come out after the first game captured video.
Right.
So probably should talk about these little pickups in that video, but the improvements to our channel, because that video is going to be out first.
I was going to say that. I mean, that's going to take a change now. They're going to see something in that video that they haven't seen yet.
Right.
You're going to get a change of scenery.
But they're going to see that video before this one, so...
It's so confusing.
Yeah.
Anyways.
That just happened.
It did. Like, subscribe, Facebook.
Yeah, like, subscribe, Facebook.
Feedback, man. Feedback. I had a boss that always said feedback is the breakfast of champions.
We have a Twitter. Right now the Twitter just gets the announcements of the new videos, but maybe at some point we'll get active on Twitter. So if you want to subscribe to it, you'll at least see the video announcements.
Do we have an Instagram?
We don't have an Instagram yet, but we certainly could do an Instagram.
Just pop up some. I know you've got some cool stuff. I've got some cool stuff. We don't necessarily have to waste time in a video, but
yeah,
pop up some things.
We can go, hey guys, look at this. So that could happen. But yeah, like, subscribe. Tell your friends. How's your wife? How's your kids?
Tell us, man. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you want to see. What do you want us to do?
Yeah.
There are many things we'll do.
Anything's possible.
Very few things we won't do.
Not very many things he won't do.
All right. So
I think that's it. We'll call it a wrap and select start and game on.